Hello again, this is DrumBoyReadsSlow. I'm going to be doing a musical review today. We got another full-length album. This one, I believe, hit streams in its full-length form digitally, I want to say roughly about a month ago, maybe a little bit more. Today's band sounds like they come from a different part of the world than the United States. But they are... No, they're from California, and this is definitely a case of U.S. black metal that hits the mark. Today's band and today's album is Imperialist, and the album's title is Prime, and this might be my 2025 album of the year. And that is because you can feel Imperialists' love on this album Prime for a period of time when black metal wasn't corrupted by commercial trappings and cheap imitation. So I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'm trying to make my reviews a little bit more concise and to the point. So getting to the point, we have a initial wave of pure, I want to say, like, we got dissection in there very heavily. This is very heavily influenced by dissection, namely in the drum style. Rod, I'm looking at you. I see you, brother. That was beautiful. I'm gonna get to the genius of Rod, or the observant eye of Rod, or the composer. Whoever wrote the drums did a fantastic job getting them to that far, and then Rod. Quinones, I think it is. He absolutely just crushes the performance. This was awesome. But let's get into what this band actually sounds like. Intricate guitars, but everything is serving the riff. The riff is telling a story with every single riff. We have elements of, as aforementioned, dissection, but also think back on the masterpiece, Watain, released back in 2003, Casus Luciferi. That is one of my favorite black metal releases of all time, and there is so much of that album's energy and what Imperialist did with Prime. The general tone of these songs is a very... a kick snare, upbeat, thrash beat, skank beat, whatever you want to call it. And you just have this very, very, the Swedish melodic black metal kind of thing going on. I get a little hint of like late 90s Lord Belial as well. So what we have here with Imperialist is a record where they hit the mark, basically paying total homage to some of the greatest black metal of the 90s and and early 2000s. And what we see, how they devise that, is by using tools that an observant musician, influenced by, if you're influenced by something enough to pay such, tremendous tribute to it, you're obviously paying attention to the tools and the techniques and the things that made those records that influence you. And that's what Imperialist does with Prime, is that they take tools that we've heard so many times and they very creatively position those tools in a way that makes it fresh, unique. I mean, in today's market of black metal and extreme metal in general, I'm going to be honest, there's much to be desired. Production has just ruined metal in so many ways. And Imperialist literally just, no, there are no BS. The production sounds great, don't get me wrong. But this is black metal. This is black metal in one of the finest forms, the melodic style that we loved from so many bands of the past. It's here. It's here, and I say, me personally, I guess in some small way, that does involve like a takeaway for, like in like how I would score this. Is it a perfect 10? I can't give it that because a lot of the tools, you know, while they are creatively used, and I definitely heard some stuff I hadn't heard a band try before, you know, and maybe that's on me for, you know, not liking modern metal and not keeping up with, you know, what modern drummers are doing with, you know, elements of the past. But for me, you know, well, for example, I did a review just recently on the new, the latest Grenadier album, and there was so many parts where I felt like there was like needless transitions or needless momentum killing movement from here to there, you know, drum beat changes, and it just, a lot of it felt unnecessary. And my advice, not advice, but just my wish had been that they had, you know, kind of laid into things and laid into the concept of the individual riffs more and let those you know, breathe a little bit. But that's just my personal opinion. Imperialist on this record proves kind of like what I was saying. So if you ever want an example of what I'm talking about, like I want riffs to breathe, check out Imperialist, because not only is the guitar work fantastic, not only are the song structures, you know, absolutely unique. They have a unique approach to something that sounds so familiar. Sounds like it was released over 20 years ago. What we have with Imperialist is also some very tasteful choices in the direction of the music. When you have a drummer who kind of understands momentum and song momentum, and again, this could all been, you know, composed by the guitarist for all I know. So, you know, forgive me, but for me, preserving momentum and having enough wrinkles in your game that, you know, you can continue to, you know, fire off like a thrash feel, and you don't have to drop to a halftime feel just because a new riff is introduced. You can keep that thrash feel because you can instantly invert it, or, you know, like you know, that to me shows wrinkles, and it also shows that, you know, the most important thing to them was writing the perfect song, you know, not trying to impress anyone. And that is one of those small things. You know, as a new listener, I couldn't pick up on that when I was listening to, you know, like stuff like Sepultura. I didn't know when the beat was on or off, and so sometimes I looked at records like that, and I was like, well, there's not as much going on as, you know, the None So Vile by Cryptopsy. So and that's a risk you take, is being kind of like called monotonous or something when you're subtly good like that, and that's so. I really like that kind of composing. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, you have to serve the riff. It's not about your ego, and then in a lot of ways that ends up showing how actually smart of a musician you actually are, and a composer you actually are. So, like, Good Eye, guys, you saw what made so many albums have so much more momentum and ability to grab a listener than some of their peers. And you know what? Let's go ahead and throw a little Sacramentum as another band you'll be kind of taken back to and made to think about, you know, heavily as you're hearing all this. So let's get into, like, you know, I'm gonna all time this album as, like, far as, like, I'm ranking it, you know, giving it a score based on, like, how it would compare to, like, all metal. It really deserves, like, something like an 8.5 to a 9. Because they did everything they were supposed to do. I think with, you know, like, they had some creative moments, and they showed me that, like, they could do some special stuff. So my thing was, like, there was a kind of like standardness to certain parts of certain songs, and I saw some opportunities, and I think sometimes, like, you know, just maybe you know, root notes, you know, like, you know, are the most important thing. But I saw some opportunities for them to take like some unique chances, because they were setting up some really cool stuff. So, you know, for me, you know, there was kind of like a safe approach, you know, just kind of capturing that mid 90s to, you know, early 2000s feel. But that's okay. 9 is really high. I gotta say, that's really high. It did everything that, you know, you did this style of music to do. So, like, I can't give it anything wrong, you know. Like, I think that's about as perfect as you can rate an album based on just, like, hey, here's a new release, and it's paying it's definitely, it's gonna remind you of this band from the past, and you're gonna be like really happy. It's gonna be like the album that they would have released if they kept going, kind of feeling. And that's amazing. That's fantastic. So anyway, 9 out of 10, I'm giving it. I really liked this record. I thought this was like the best thing I've heard in 2025 so far. Let's see if anything can top it. Send me some recommendations for some records I need to hear. I'm really open ears. I'm all about the past, and that's what this is about. Is waking up to the future and the present, and then here and the now, and let's get some shine on some musicians that haven't gotten necessarily enough shine yet, and deserve it, and deserve to make a living off of it, and bring their music to a lot more people. Anyhow, this has been Drum Boy Reads Slow. And I thank you so much for watching. Please give me a like and subscribe. I'd love to do 100 reviews a week if I could. So, but hey, this is all for fun at this stage of the game, and I really appreciate that. I'm seeing people, video retention, and people are actually taking the time to listen to me ramble like a fool and spit at the camera by accident. Anyhow, have a great day, great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Yeah, that's a really good video I got.